Hello and welcome back to Sand and Sketch. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create your masterpiece. In the last video I'd asked you to take your tub, place your ice cream pail or equivalent into the tub, take your sponge, put it on top of the pail, and to take your rock and place it on the pail with the sponge acting like a prop so that you could work at a proper angle that's comfortable for yourself. The rock I provided for you has an image on it already, and the reason for that was so that I could ensure that the rock I'm supplying you is of the best, highest quality so you can have the best image possible. The first thing I do when I'm creating my images is I put on a pair of gloves, and I've supplied you with the latex-free gloves in your kit, and I ensure that I pull them as tight as possible so that there's no wrinkles on the top of the fingertips. Okay. I take my sandpaper. In this case here I'm using 240 grit paper, and I fold it in half and then I fold it in half again. Okay, and the reason I use 240 grit sandpaper is because the first 5 or 6 times that I'm using a rock and working with it, I use a 240 grit, and once it's broken in, I then downgrade to the 400 grit paper. Okay. Now the proper way to hold your sandpaper is to take your index finger, which acts like a pencil or a brush, and you point it into the corner of the top right hand corner of the sandpaper. Now if you're left-handed, obviously it's going to be the opposite. So you take the index finger up the corner, and then your other 2 or 3 fingers you place them down on the side of the sandpaper like so, and then the other side is where your thumb goes, and that's applied like that. So that's what it looks like when you're working with it. Okay. Now, the first thing you need to do is erase that beautiful image that's on your rock right now. You take your sandpaper, you dip it into the water, and just a little bit. As you can see there, I just take the first inch of it and I dip it into the water and I apply it to the rock. And I continue to do that. Just add a little water. When you have a little resistance, just add a little more water. Okay, just a little bit of water at a time. Now, if you don't have enough white powder on your rock surface, what you'll have to do is press a little harder. And as you're pressing, you'll notice you'll get a little more white that comes off your rock. Okay? And when the consistency is just right, and you'll know when it's right, your sandpaper will just glide across the rock face, just with little or no effort. Okay. Add a little more water, press a little harder, and once you know that it's ready, and you will, is when all these beautiful 3D images start to appear. That's when you know you're ready for your to start your completion of your project. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to start with a sky image, which I'll create a sky image for you. I'm going to create the mountains. I'm going to put in a couple trees, 2 or 3 trees, and then a little bit of landscape at the bottom and a bird or 2. Okay, so let's start with the sky. So I just swish it. I swish, the sandpaper back and forth till I feel comfortable that there's a sky image there. There's one there. Okay, so then I take again the top right hand corner with my index finger and the other 3 to 4 fingers that are on the edge of the sandpaper, and I place it on the rock in the far corner. And I work from right to left. I'm not sure why, but that seems to be most comfortable for me. But anyways, I apply the same amount of pressure on the rock. Just do little W's, and there's my mountain scene. Now, to finish off the mountain scene, what you want to do is create the landscape below it, and I do the same thing I start from the far right hand corner and I swipe across like so. Okay? And then if that doesn't look good to you, you can work at the bottom there, and you can just move your sandpaper around and create your own little mountain landscape scene. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to create your trees. You take your tip of your sandpaper, okay, and that's right there. You take that tip and you place it right down below here, and you strike up with it. There's a branch, or I should say there's a tree trunk, and there's another one, and we'll place another one right there. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to create the branches. Again, ensure that your finger is firmly into that corner, and to create the branches I just rub the bottom of the rock like so, okay, and then I dab it, and when I see a beautiful little image like that, there's my branches, it's ready to go. So I dab it onto the tree trunk, and if you get little globs, that means you've got too much water in there, and I just rub it very hard at the bottom, and again create my branches like that, and just dab it again, and there's my tree. And then do that again, dab it, here's my second tree, and we'll do a third one. And you have to realize that your work is going to dry from the top down, and it will dry very quickly depending on the humidity in the air. Okay, so now I'm ready to create my landscape at the bottom of my trees, and you can go like so and just swirl it around. You'll notice that you'll feel comfortable after a while. You need a little bit of practice. There's your landscape at the bottom, and I will throw in a bird. In order to create a bird, I take again the tip of the sandpaper and I place it on the far right hand side, and I make my birds from right to left. So I place it down and I'm making kind of a little M shape. There's my bird. And I'll create another one. Okay. There's my second bird. And that's your image. So my recommendation is that you work on something for about 5 minutes. Create your birds. Learn how to create a bird. Practice on birds for 5 to 10 minutes. Practice on your tree trunks for 5 to 10 minutes. Practice on your branches for 5 to 10 minutes. Same thing with your mountain scenes. Okay. So once you've practiced that, then you take all those skill sets that you just learnt and then create an image. And again, you have to work quickly because the work dries. I'd say it starts to dry within 4 to 5 minutes. It'll start drying, and within 15 it should be completely dry. Okay? And if you wish to keep your image, the next tutorial will show you how to preserve your image so that you can keep it forever. Okay? Thank you.